All right, 2K fans, it's your boy JuKIng the Boss, and I'm back at it once again with another video. We're going to talk about NBA 2K, my career, and the ways to improve it. And I've already talked to y'all about how to improve the Pro-Am, how to improve the playground. Now I want to go over with y'all some key takeaways that I noticed in my career. Now there's going to be some things I'm going to forget about, but for those that I don't mention in the comments down below, let me know what you think about what you would like to see come to my career. And I always believe my career is a single player focused element. It's the story of your individual player, and it's the mode that brings Pro-Am and Park together. But we're not going to focus on Park or Pro-Am. We're going to talk about my career and the big damage that they did with my career and how to improve it going forward. Now, first thing, let's get it right out the way. The big thing about the VC problem. Now, you can tell that they really wanted you to buy a VC if you didn't notice, because when they got rid of the 20-minute quarter glitch, I didn't have a problem with that. The issue I had was after they got rid of that glitch, at the same time, they also decided to get rid of earning so much XP to level your player up in my career. Now, here's my problem with that. Now, if you wanted to kind of balance it out and say, okay, well, look, we want you to be able to play my career, earn a lot of XP, but we also want you to try out the other game modes, then there's a way to say, okay, well, seeing as you played so much of my career, go play Pro-Am, play a couple of games of Pro-Am, and then your earnings in my career go back up and everything like that. So that way at least every 15-20 games of my career, you had to at least play one Pro-Am game. No, they went the exact opposite direction. They basically said you got to play Pro-Am to actually get some good credits, some good XP to rep your player up. And I thought that was a big problem. So they really wanted you to just buy VC, because in order to compete in Pro-Am, you had to at least have your player at 80 overall. Don't get me wrong, I've gone into the Pro-Am with a 65 because I am not going to let the game decide how I spend my own money, and it wasn't going to be throwing extra money down there. But it'd be good to see them go back to focusing on my career as a whole for the individual player. And the first thing I want to go over to do that is a better prelude. Now, the starting point for my career was very bad this year, because your player was DJ who quit playing basketball to DJ, and then he quit DJing to get back to basketball. And ATM said it best, like, why did you quit DJing? It wasn't paying out enough for you? Like, at the end of the day, why did he quit playing basketball to DJ in the first place? And that wasn't ever explained. So if we want to get away from things like that, let's just have a more open, dynamic starting point. In NHL, you could go and play in the Canadian Football League for a couple of years before declaring yourself draft ready for the pros, for the big leagues. Now, why you couldn't do the same thing when it came down to 2K? With 2K, you could simply just say, okay, well, you could play a couple of years playing minor basketball and everything like that while you work on your overall and get your skill up, and essentially then declare yourself draft eligible, playing a season or two in college. And then you don't even need real colleges to take away from that aspect, because at the end of the day, you could simply shift it to playing some basketball overseas, playing in some minor tournaments, a lot of minor tournaments. Now, instead you get that one tournament that you don't really earn any good VC from, you don't earn any good credits from, you don't earn any experience from, like, instead it's just a starting point to a nothing story, and you spend most of the story going over endorsement deals that you don't earn, you just get because they wanted the place to put their ads for the partners that they're teamed up with and sponsored through the game. And to me, that was a big no. That shouldn't have been like that. So let's focus on making a better prelude, a better starting point, something that simplifies it for all players, something that makes it a lot easier and obtainable for everybody, something that's fun and engaging for everybody. Now, dynamic is a word you're going to hear me talk about a lot. And the second thing is dynamic rivals. Now, they had rivals with Jackson Ellis a few years ago. You had a small rival with Dante Exum the following year from that. And I would love to see something like that occur. Now, in this year's installment, we did basically some pregame trash talking with, Joel Embiid, or Steph or LeBron or Paul George. A lot of these names, you just kind of talked a little trash before, but it led to nothing. Like, you spent more time trying to get into Jordan's celebrity golf tournament than you did actually trying to prove that you deserve to be on the court with some of these names. And so by having dynamic rivals, by having challenges that go against these specific players that say, hey, well, he's been doing great shooting, from the field, so try to hold him to shooting 40%. and that's going to challenge you to play better defense on that person to keep him from being able to shoot open shots and force him to have to throw up contested shots. Giving those dynamic rivals give that trash talking you do pre-game a little more latitude, a little more guff behind it, instead of just this is just another pre-game cutscene where my man's gonna talk a little trash, but it's ultimately gonna lead to nothing. So let's focus on making dynamic rivals mean something by bringing those into the fold. Another thing quickly we're gonna talk about is redesigning the teammate grade system. Now, NBA Live's teammate grade system worked out better. That numbered grade system, you started off with a 70 and you tried to build it up to 100 before the end of the game, and the risk and penalties, the way they did it in Live was a whole lot better. You'll lose a whole bar of your grade in 2K when you get one little turnover or you get a foul or something like that, and then sometimes that foul was an unavoidable foul, like you had to because you'd rather have this person take shots at the line. And speaking of them having to take shots at the line, why is it that every computer can shoot 100% from the line when their real life counterpart shoots like 40, 50% from the line, 60, 70%? Like, they're making everything from the line. Let's tone that crap down, because it's not even remotely simulated to playing the game of basketball and everything like that. So when it comes down to redesigning that teammate grade system, that risk and punishment system for the things that you do, having a number grade system keeps people from going out and just setting endless screens to get their grade back up to A, or to get their grade up to A plus, and give them a little bit of collateral that they can hold on to and utilize to make a mistake later on. The next thing I'm going to focus on is chasing greatness. Now, if you watch the NBA games, you ever notice like when LeBron passed a certain person in the all-time scoring column and everything like that, they made a note of that. Like the game before, they at the end of that game, they was talking about how LeBron's only 26 points away from passing this person, and they kind of did that stat tracking for that. Now, for MyCareer, it's supposed to be about the individual player. So I want this mode to focus on people who love to play MyCareer, who want that brevity of being in this game and playing this game and feeling like a superstar, or feeling like they're earning their place as a superstar, instead of just, I'm leveling up and I'm getting to the next level, so I am a superstar. You can be a 99 overall and score 3 points a game, get a D plus every game. You are not a superstar and everything like that. You are literally just there. So having chasing greatness, which would dictate game goals, season goals, and career goals, and then having those milestones play out on screen. So like when you start up a game, they might say, man, he's only 15 points away from passing, Magic Johnson on the all-time scoring list. He's only 15 points away, from passing Kobe, things like that on the all-time scoring list. He's only 5 3-pointers away from passing Steph Curry on the all-time 3-pointers made list. And so when they do things like that, it gives those dynamic rivals some more breath. It gives those modes of getting in the game and playing this game with a purpose more breath. It's less about just trying to win an NBA title, and more about trying to establish yourself as the greatest player to play this game. It's a video game, but you still want to try to establish yourself as the greatest player to play it. The whole point of creating MyCareer mode was so that way you can be the NBA superstar in this game that you've always wanted to be in reality. And they taken so much that away. Let's bring some of that stuff back by adding in these things like chasing greatness. Another thing that needs to be redesigned is the sponsorships. The sponsorships should be complete. The endorsements needs a complete rework. Like this year, you were just given the endorsements. You didn't have to earn them. And I don't care what nobody tells you, I didn't earn not one of them that I got. I simply got my man to a high enough overall, and they were given to me. And that's just not how sponsorships work. That's not how endorsements work. Give me some sort of facsimile of realism in the simulation game by making these endorsements something that I have to showcase that not only am I a great player, I'm highly marketable as an individual. That's what's gonna draw the sponsors toward me. I don't care what nobody saying. No 60 overall get no big sponsorship deal from a big name company. You know what I'm saying? You might get a used tire sponsorship deal if you overall 62. But you're not getting no Nike shoe deal with no overall 60. You're not getting no Jordan shoe deal with no overall 61, 63. You know, you get these shoe deals by not only being one of the best cats to touch the court, but at the same time being a highly marketable player. So let's bring things like that back into fruition. You know, let's make it earn and grow. And as just like your NBA contract, your endorsement contracts can be renegotiated so that you can earn more VC. They really wanted you to buy VC, and they was no strangers of it and everything like that. And it got to a point where when people talked to them about that, they really just didn't want to answer that. So I kind of want to see them step away from that kind of aspect and understand that putting VC as a viable currency that a person can use as a shortcut is more of a privilege. It's not a necessity. But they made it seem like it was a necessity this year. That was a problem. So the next thing I want to talk about is a two-way piece. We got dynamic in-game moments and dynamic games. Now in the NBA, if you are coming near the end of your season and you got the last 10 games of the season, right? And you're like number 9th seed. Have it mean something when it comes down to playing these 9 games by telling me that I need to win 7 of these 9 games in order to qualify for the playoffs, and then I need to beat this team in those 7 games to guarantee me a spot. Even if I won 7 out of 9 games, but one of the 2 games that I lost was against a key opponent in my division, you know, that could keep me from being qualified for the playoffs. If they're fighting that same kind of scheduling, they're fighting that same kind of fight to get into it. So have these these are dynamic games right here. These are games that mean something. And I've had a couple of times throughout the course of my season where there were dynamic games that meant something on the paper, but the game made no question about it. They made it seem like it was just another game, and that's the problem. Like in the NBA, at the beginning of the season, every game is just another game, but the further you go into the season, the games become more dire, more important than ever when it comes down to making the postseason push. So make those things mean something. This year we had 2 teams fighting for the last spot in the West, and they made note that this final game between these 2 teams was important because the winner would get that final spot. Things like that can happen in this video game, and they could set it to a point where they make note of those kind of things that need to occur. They make note of those kind of achievements. You would love to know that you need to play this game and you need to go out there with the goal of winning this game, because if you don't, you won't make the postseason. This is the defining game for your postseason berth. This is the defining moment for your postseason run. You know, in-game clutch moments. You know, the game is tied. It's 26 seconds left on the clock. The opponents, they managed to score. Now you got about 6 seconds left on the clock, and they up by 2 now. Now, your coach called a timeout, pull you out to the sideline, and he wants you to make the game-tying or game-winning shot. He puts the ball in your hand. He wants you to bring home a win. You remember they did that a few years back in 2K11, 2K10, and 2K12, where they had those key games and key moments, and you had to go out there and score that game winning back. Let's bring those clutch moments back. Let's make these things mean something again, because in the NBA, these things mean something. You saw LeBron hit the game winner that gave them the win and forced the game 7. You know, and it forced the game that took them up 3-2. My bad. And you want to see things like that occur in the video game that you play. Important moments that you can look back on and say, whoa, that was a great game moment right there. You know, and then speaking of dynamics, let's go with a dynamic difficulty versus fixed difficulty. Now, dynamic difficulty would literally adjust the game based on how well you're playing in certain areas. So the better you're playing on offense, the better your shot is. They will tone down the sliders to make your shot less effective as it was. So it doesn't say that they're going to tone down the sliders so you'd miss more. It's going to tone down the sliders so that way you have a smaller margin of error for your shot. Okay, now, and then say for instance, if you're playing poorly on defense, we're going to tone up the sliders a little bit to help you out on defense, so that way you can get better on defense. And as you get better, you'll start to not only feel more confident in playing this game, playing against other people, but you're going to see less cheesing. I mean, you're still going to have cheesing, but you're going to see less cheesing just exceptionally available and saying, well, that's the reason why I do it, because it's there, and more so, but you ain't good. Let's get this game back to a point where MyCareer is the central focus that it needs to be, and then branching out and separating that Pro-Am and Park are two separate entities. Now, there are ways that you can add those three together and make them play so well off each other, and I'll go over that. But for right now, if you like the video, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're new to the channel, leave down in the comments below if there was anything that I missed out on that you would love to see come to MyCareer, that you think could make MyCareer a whole lot better. I'd love to know what you all think about this, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. I'm out. Peace.